Have you ever really stopped to think about what happens when you let another day slip by? And I don't mean missing a deadline. I'm not talking about putting off a chore or forgetting to reply to an email. No, I mean years. Whole years of your life, your potential, your dreams, your best self, quietly buried under "I'll start tomorrow." What does your life actually look like when you keep doing this? What does the person you could have become feel when you never show up for them? In the world we live in today, people have become so used to delaying, like tomorrow will always be there. Like time is something you can borrow and pay back later. They get comfortable. They confuse being busy with making progress. They mistake planning for doing. But here's where it gets interesting. When you finally wake up to what procrastination is actually doing to you, when you see it not as a bad habit, but as a thief, everything changes. You take back the one thing it's been stealing from you all along, your life. And that's when everything in your world starts to unravel in the best possible way. This is without question one of the most important videos you'll ever watch, especially if you've ever been in a place where you felt stuck, where you knew exactly what you should be doing, but somehow, some way, you just couldn't do it. Where another month passed and nothing moved. Where you looked in the mirror and wondered where the version of you with all those dreams actually went. Because today, we're going to break down a powerful reality, what procrastination is truly doing to you, and what happens when you finally, decisively, stop letting it. We're not just scratching the surface. I'm going to walk you through 10 brutal stages of what procrastination steals from you, and at each stage, exactly how to take it back. And let me tell you, by the end, you'll understand why the single most life-changing decision you can make is the choice to start right now. Today, not tomorrow. If you're ready to reclaim your time, if you're ready to feel the weight of wasted years lift off your shoulders, drop a comment right now that says, "I start today," because by the end of this, that's exactly what you'll be. Not someone who almost did it. Not someone who had potential. Someone who actually moved. And listen carefully. Stick around until the very end because there's a bonus stage 10, a reveal that ties everything together, and it's the one that will change how you see yourself forever. All right, let's get into it. Stage 1. The silent robbery. This is where it begins. Not with drama. Not with a moment you can point to and say, "That's when I lost everything." No. Procrastination doesn't rob you the way a thief breaks down a door. It's more like a slow leak. Silent, invisible, relentless. See, it never felt like a problem. Not really in your mind, you had time. You were always going to get around to it. You had plans, ideas, intentions. You were motivated, just not right now. There was always a reason today wasn't the day. You were tired, stressed, not ready, not inspired. The conditions weren't perfect, and so one day became 1 week. And 1 week became 1 month, and 1 month became 1 year, until one day you did the math, and the numbers didn't lie. Asterisk, when procrastination gets its hooks into you, it's like slow carbon monoxide poisoning. You don't smell it, you don't see it, but it's filling the room. You've heard the saying, "Some day is not a day of the week." That's exactly what procrastination has been selling you, a fake day called someday, and you've been showing up for it faithfully. Every single week you suddenly realize that the time you thought you were saving was actually being stolen. Every hour you delayed, it took something. Not just time, momentum, identity, possibility, but here's the difference. This isn't just laziness. No, this is deeper. This is personal. It's a wound that cuts into your confidence, your self-concept, your belief that you are someone capable of change. Asterisk. Because let's be real, when procrastination becomes a pattern, you start to build an identity around it. You start to say things like, "I'm just not a disciplined person," or "I work better under pressure," or "I'll be ready when the time is right." In your head, it felt safe. There was always tomorrow. You weren't losing anything, you were just delaying. But then, time ran out on a dream. An opportunity closed. A relationship faded. A version of yourself quietly gave up waiting. No warning. No second chance. No refund. And suddenly the cost became real. Asterisk, you panic. You feel regret, and it's not just about the missed opportunity. It's about what it means. It means the life you pictured, the business, the body, the relationship. The creative work has been sitting in a waiting room while you stood outside the door. Convincing yourself you weren't ready to walk in, and that realization that you were the one holding yourself back hits harder than you'd ever admit. Asterisk. That's why if you truly want to break free from this stage, you can't wait for the right moment. Don't negotiate with tomorrow. Don't promise yourself this time will be different without changing something. Don't keep buying into the lie that motivation comes first and action comes second. Just start imperfect, uncomfortable, unprepared. Because when you take the first step without a single perfect condition, you send a message louder than anything you could have said. I am in control of my time now, asterisk. And here's the beauty of it. You don't need more time. You don't need better circumstances. You don't need to feel ready. You let the fear of wasted years light a fire under you, and I promise you, when the truth of stage 1 hits, really hits, it becomes the most powerful motivator you've ever felt. The person who kept delaying, the person who kept waiting, that person is done, and all they're left with now is the burning desire to begin. Stage 2, the void that grows now. Here's where things get really interesting. Once the silent robbery sinks in, you move into something even harder to sit with, the void. This is when you start to realize that procrastination doesn't just take your time. It hollows out your sense of purpose, in your mind. You've probably told yourself that you were resting or recharging, that you'd pour yourself into the work after you'd had time to decompress. But when the weeks kept passing with nothing to show, that's when the truth smacks you in the face. Day by day, you start to notice it. You feel vaguely restless, like something important is always just out of reach. You scroll endlessly, not because it's enjoyable, but because it fills the silence. You feel a strange guilt when you're doing nothing, but can't seem to do something either. You compare yourself to people making progress and feel a quiet, crushing shame. You start to wonder if you've simply lost the ability to do hard things. And it's not just emptiness you feel. It's a specific kind of emptiness, the kind that comes from knowing what you should be doing and choosing not to do it. That's different from simply not knowing your path. This is the void of self-betrayal. Asterisk, because whether you want to admit it or not, your sense of identity is built on your actions, not your intentions. Every time you said you would do something and didn't, you sent a signal to your subconscious. I am someone who doesn't follow through. And slowly, that became the story. That became the belief. The void grows not because life is empty, but because you have gone quiet on yourself. Asterisk, if you want to start closing this void, you cannot wait for inspiration to strike. You have to act first and let the feeling follow. That means pick the smallest possible version of the task. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Do it badly if you have to, but move, because the longer the silence, the deeper the void grows. And every time you push back, even for 5 minutes, it gets smaller. Let that truth settle. The void is not proof that you are broken. It is proof that you care, and people who care can change. Stage 3, the obsession with someday asterisk. By this point, the robbery has happened and the void has grown. And now something almost cruel takes over. The obsession with someday. This is when you realize you've become addicted to planning the life you want instead of building it. You've got the vision board, the idea journals, the bookmarked articles, the YouTube videos about productivity you watched instead of being productive, the courses sitting unopened in your inbox. You know exactly what you want to do. You've thought about it in exquisite detail. You've imagined the outcome. You've planned the plan. You just haven't started. Day by day, the fantasy of someday becomes more vivid, while the reality of today becomes harder to face. Researching something for so long, it never gets built. Talking about a goal so much, it starts to feel like you've already achieved it. Consuming motivational content as a substitute for actual work, revising your plan when what you actually need is to execute the old one. And it's not just procrastination you feel. It's a specific, seductive trap. Planning feels productive. It triggers the same reward centers as doing, but it produces nothing. Asterisk, here's the cruel irony. The more detailed your vision of someday, the more painful it becomes to stay in today. And rather than close the gap by acting, most people widen it by planning more. They didn't build the bridge when the gap was small. They thought they could cross it later, but the second time kept passing. The gap became a canyon. Asterisk, if you want someday to become today, you have to make a single non-negotiable rule. No more planning what you haven't started executing. That means close the tabs. Put the journal down. Stop watching how I built my business videos and do the one thing, the single, specific. Next thing that moves your goal forward, because the version of you who succeeds is not the one with the best plan. It's the one who showed up when they didn't feel like it. Asterisk. Stage 4. The identity collapse. Asterisk. Once the someday obsession sets in long enough, something devastating happens underneath the surface. The identity collapse. This is when you stop seeing yourself as someone who could do the thing and start seeing yourself as someone who simply doesn't. Every day you delay a goal, you cast a vote against yourself, and votes accumulate. Eventually, the scoreboard reads, "You are not someone who follows through." You start self-narrating differently. "I've never been disciplined. I just don't have what it takes. Maybe this just isn't for me. I've tried before and failed. Why would this time be different?" And it's not just low confidence you feel. It's the terrifying feeling of becoming a stranger to your own potential, of meeting the best version of yourself only in daydreams, never in the mirror. Asterisk, because here's the truth about identity. It's not what you think about yourself. It's what you prove to yourself through action. Every small promise you keep to yourself rewrites the story. Every time you sit down and do the work when you don't feel like it, you cast a vote for a new identity. You cannot think your way to becoming a disciplined person. You have to act your way there. Asterisk. Don't try to overhaul your identity overnight. Instead, make one small concrete promise to yourself and keep it. Just one. Today, because identity shifts happen at the level of tiny, consistent actions, not grand declarations. Let them see you change. More importantly, let yourself see you change. Stage 5. The desperation of missed deadlines. Now they're deep in it. Now you're deep in it. And the desperation sets in, the crushing weight of missed windows. This is when procrastination stops being abstract and becomes brutal. Real deadlines pass. Real opportunities close. Real consequences arrive. You notice it in specific, undeniable ways. The business idea you had 3 years ago, someone else launched it. The body you said you'd build before summer. Summer came and went. Twice the relationship you kept putting on the back burner. The other person stopped waiting. The degree, the skill, the project, buried under 1,000 tomorrows. And it's not just regret. It's the specific terror of irreversibility, of knowing that that time is gone, that that chance won't return. Asterisks use this moment not as evidence that you failed, but as proof that you care, and that caring is the fuel you need. Set one boundary with future you. Every week, there must be one thing you cannot move to next week. One non-negotiable act of progress. Let urgency become your ally, not your enemy. Stage 6. The war inside. By this point, something fascinating and painful happens in the mind. The internal war. This is the stage where you're caught between two versions of yourself, fighting in real time. One part of you is exhausted, done waiting, ready to burn the comfort zone down and do the damn work. The other part is terrified, safe in the familiar, afraid of failure, afraid of success, afraid of what it means if you actually try and it still doesn't work. You'll feel it in specific moments sitting down to work, then finding yourself on your phone 15 minutes later without remembering the decision to pick it up, deleting it and closing the laptop, getting genuinely motivated at 11 p.m., making a plan, waking up at 9 a.m. and feeling nothing, wanting to share your work with the world, and simultaneously terrified of being seen. The internal conflict is real. Both voices are real. This is not weakness. This is the human mind navigating change. Asterisk, stop trying to silence the fearful voice. Instead, negotiate with it. Say, we're going to do this for 10 minutes. Just 10. Then you can be afraid again. That's all. Because action is the only thing that quiets the war. Not winning the argument, taking the step. Asterisk, stage 7. The disguised productive procrastination. Asterisk. Now here's where procrastination gets clever. Dangerously clever. It puts on a disguise. Welcome to productive procrastination. This is when you're busy. Genuinely busy. You're organizing, preparing, researching, networking, learning, doing everything around the thing instead of the thing itself. Cleaning the workspace before you can write. Building a complicated system for tracking your habits. Instead of building the habits, taking a third online course before you launch the first product. Redesigning the logo when there's no business yet. It looks like progress. It feels like progress. But it's avoidance wearing a suit. Asterisk, the mind is brilliant at self-preservation. It will find ways to keep you feeling useful while protecting you from the real risk, the risk of doing the thing that actually matters and potentially failing at it. Productive procrastination is the sophisticated person's version of delay, and it's more insidious because it's harder to call out. Asterisk, ask yourself one question before any task. Is this the thing? Or is this around the thing? If it's around the thing, it waits. The thing comes first. Always. Stage 8. The breaking point. There comes a moment in every procrastinator's story. A breaking point. The moment the weight becomes unbearable. This is when something shifts. It's not always a dramatic event. Sometimes it's small. It's looking at your bank account. It's a health scare. It's a friend who quit their job to start the thing you always talked about first. It's your own reflection on a random Tuesday morning, and something in you says, enough. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just enough. The excuses suddenly sound hollow. The stories you've been telling yourself collapse under their own weight. The gap between who you are and who you wanted to be becomes two. It's painful to ignore. This stage is a gift in disguise. Asterisk, don't let the breaking point pass without acting on it. This is the moment most people feel the clarity, and then wait for it to return before starting. It won't come back the same way. Act while the window is open. Write down right now the one thing you've been avoiding most. Then do the first step before this video ends. Stage 9. The fear of who you'll become. Asterisk. Hey, there's one final obstacle before transformation, and it's the strangest one. The fear of actually succeeding. This is the stage, and nobody talks about. The fear isn't really of failing, it's of changing. Because if you become disciplined, if you actually do the work and build the life, then you can no longer be the person with potential. You have to be the person who performed, and that's terrifying. What if your best isn't good enough? What if success changes who you are? What if the people around you don't recognize you, or worse, resent you? So you delay, unconsciously, to stay safe, to stay known. To stay you. Asterisk, understand this. Growth is supposed to change you. That's not a threat, it's the point. You are not losing yourself by becoming your best self. You are finally meeting yourself. Give yourself permission to outgrow the version of you that is too afraid to start. Stage 10, the reclamation. This is where everything comes full circle. This is the stage that isn't about the time you lost. It isn't about what procrastination stole, or the years that slipped by, or the version of you that waited too long. This stage is about you, right now, today. Asterisk, because when you finally decide to stop, when you look procrastination in the eye and say not. Today, it's not just about getting things done. It's about stepping fully into your own authority. It's about reclaiming something you may have forgotten you had all along. The power to begin. Asterisk C in so many seasons of life. We get caught in a cycle of planning without acting, of waiting without moving, of imagining without building, while starving ourselves of the one thing that actually builds, confidence, proof, and over time. Without even noticing it, we tie our sense of worth to conditions: the right time, the right mood, the right resources. Asterisk. But when you choose to act, when you finally break the pattern, you break that cycle, you start to see things clearly. You begin to understand that your potential was never dependent on perfect conditions. That your value doesn't rise and fall with whether you feel motivated. That your future isn't chained to your past behavior. And that realization, it's freedom. Actual, tangible freedom. Asterisk, you no longer wait for the mood to strike. You no longer care about what's comfortable. You no longer obsess over whether you're ready enough, smart enough, good enough. Because you finally learn the most powerful truth. You don't need to feel ready to begin. You need to begin to feel ready. Asterisk. That's the reclamation. It's the shift from victim of time to master of time. From passenger to driver. From someone who almost lived their life to someone who actually did. Asterisk. And here's the part that makes this stage so powerful. The people around you will feel it. They will see it. They can sense that you're not the same person who kept shrinking. You're clearer now, more decisive, more alive. You've evolved, and it shows. While the old version of you was still negotiating with tomorrow, you've moved forward into a place that version can't touch. Asterisk. And that's when the tables turn for good. Because procrastination no longer has power over you. It's lies you're not ready. There is always tomorrow. What if it doesn't work? None of it holds weight anymore. You've outgrown the fear. You've broken free from the cycle that once kept you small, and now the old excuses mean nothing. Asterisk. This is the ultimate victory. Not building a perfect life. Not eliminating all fear. Not becoming someone who never struggles. Though all of that may come along the way, the ultimate win is standing inside. Your own momentum, unshaken, unbothered, unstoppable. Asterisks. So own it. Don't slip back into the comfortable numbness of delay. Don't give procrastination the satisfaction of stealing one more day, because it doesn't get to have your life anymore. Not one more hour. You've claimed something far more. It's valuable than another day of waiting. You've claimed your now, and that is the final, undeniable proof that you've won. Asterisk. If you're still here, if you made it to these words, then you already know something important about yourself. You care. You want more. You haven't given up, and that matters more than you know. So, right now, type a. Start today in the comments. Let it be your line in the sand. Your declaration. Not for anyone else, for you. Because procrastination was never really about laziness. It was about fear. And today, you chose something different. Remember, every great life was built one began day at a time. Not a perfect day. Not a motivated day. Just a begun day. Today is that day. If this video spoke to something real in you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you want more truth delivered without filters. And most importantly, close this tab. Open the thing you've been avoiding and start not tomorrow now.